there are stages of the path of spiritual growth, spiritual awakening, where seemingly, outwardly, consciously, it really feels like you're not on the path. The feeling is that whatever was experienced before, whatever awakening, whatever shift in consciousness, whatever lucidity was experienced was somehow just a distant memory. Maybe even thoughts come in that kind of taint that, suggest that the memory has been dressed up in some way, that it wasn't as profound as it felt at the time. You know, this can happen not only following like expansive states, but moments of joy, moments of a different depth of perception, a different level of awareness. To give you an example, something that I've noticed within myself is that let's say the distance between like my awareness and my thoughts, or the kind of inner monologue, or just the way that the mind just goes on and on, that can vary. That's something I've worked on in meditation. And I can have spells where I'm just more grounded in awareness, and my meditation practice might be consistent. The things that I'm doing deliberately and consciously might be consistent, but there's just this enhanced awareness that feels effortless in itself. And from that space, I'm begin to notice, oh yeah, like there are different thinking patterns and grooves that I've been stuck in that I couldn't quite see. But now there's this lightness, as if rather than the thoughts being here, loud, intrusive, taking up a lot of space, they just feel more distant, not in a disconnected way, but more just like, oh yeah, that is an independent stream of consciousness, a stream of thoughts that I don't have to respond to. But there are oscillations, and there are times where I feel I get really caught up in the shit that my mind comes up with my emotions, with my interpretation and commentary about life, about the way that things are going. And I think those spells are necessary at times to kind of immerse, to lose ourselves, especially having created that extra dimension. But you know, also in addition to that, there can be like a sense of apathy that comes in at times, a sense of disconnect. And you know, I will be honest and say that during times of struggle, I can become really bitter, and I can start to judge spirituality, and I can start to feel like, and what is that all about? You know, it's lacking something in some way. And of course, all of that is contextual, and it's all kind of part of the story. But you know, the idea, at least the concept of something like unconditional love, that's something that can be experienced. It's something I've experienced in different spells, different stages on my awakening. But when I fall back into these old mechanisms and become constricted, become smaller, my heart closes, then I can get bitter. And I'm like, you know, you might see like a quote from someone talking about unconditional love, and I'm just like, no, I'm not feeling it. And even just the connection to the sacred, even a connection to whatever spirituality is for you, like you can lose that connection, and it can feel like in losing that connection, you've stepped off the path, that they're lost moments in a sense, that growth is continual. I'm definitely not the first to say it, you know, but this kind of growth is cyclical. the conscious trajectory is not clear a lot of the time. It's not linear. And as much as the conscious mind, as much as the ego, or speaking for myself, as much as me, as much as I sometimes would like things to be that way, they're just not. And actually some of the biggest moments of growth have come through spells where I've really felt like I've lost connection to my practice, where I felt like I'm not on the path, where I felt completely lost, completely isolated. So I just wanted to capture that, because the good news is there's no such thing as, you know, a stage or a spell of somehow missing out when it comes to your awakening. There's a deeper level of trust over time when you experience those moments where you feel like you're off the path. You begin to develop an understanding that is all part of it. That's all part of the journey of growth. And it can feel like there's a stagnation, but generally there's always stuff going on unconsciously. There are always things being worked on. And within that stagnation, there's an opportunity to pause and reflect, and even to enjoy taking time off. To even just do whatever unspiritual feels like for you, in a way that is obviously good for you, not damaging to your mental health or anything like that. But yeah, returning from those moments, those spells in the wilderness that seem at least like they're disconnected from the path, they're some of the most powerful moments, I think. Falling in love again with spirituality. And again, I use that just as a broad term, but a connection to the sacred, a connection to the divine, a connection to this feeling of, okay, there is a higher intelligence behind life and things that are going on. There's a deeper level of acceptance and love beyond the surface fears, the surface anxieties, the surface sense of not being worthy of those things. That it's there and it's not going anywhere. And returning to that is always possible, no matter where you're at. And there's no such thing as a failure. There's no such thing as wasted time on the journey. It's just like in meditation, right? Noticing is all about noticing. It's not about trying to change anything. It's the moment that you notice and then you return your focus. That is what matters. And it's exactly the same with the path in general. The moment that you notice you've drifted, that's your opportunity to return in a way that feels good for you. If you feel blocked, if you feel like returning to your spiritual path is impossible at that time, enjoy it, or at least don't judge yourself for it, because that could be the moment that is actually leading to profound growth in the long term.